Hey Fab Gals, you know when you find your perfect pair of jeans and you're so excited to find your perfect pair, but they're too long and you want to wear them now, like me. I always want to wear something new straight away. So in this video today, I'm going to show you a super easy way on how to hem your own jeans without a sewing machine, without having to spend all the time hand stitching a hem. I'm going to show you how to cut them. I'm going to show you how to hem them super quickly, easily, and cost effectively. Because sometimes going to a tailor can be quite expensive. Okay, so I have got this perfect pair of jeans, and as you can see, especially on the one leg. Now this leg I've already shortened, so I'm going to show you how to do that. But this leg, way too long. Hello, Jazzy. Jazzy always has to be involved in everything. Yes, my boy. I know. Okay, so now as you can see with this leg, it's way too long. So what I want to be able to do is get it to this length. But a lot of women are very nervous, especially if you've investment bought in your pair of jeans. You want to make sure that you're not going to ruin them. So step number one, ladies, always wash your jeans first, because that's important. They could shrink depending on the quality. So just to be absolutely certain, always wash them first, and wash them in the way that you're going to wash them. Now I'm a stickler for good quality clothing and I want to make them last for a long time. So I tend to hand wash a lot of my clothing and not tumble dry. But however you're going to do it because you want to make sure they're not going to shrink. Okay, now what's tricky about these jeans is that, okay, so they are flared, the bootleg. I'm so excited, ladies, that the bootleg is back because it is super flattering. And this is actually a nice slim bootleg, so it's not extremely flared. Wait, I'm going to be doing a very fun collaboration with one of my favorite, in fact, not one of, my favorite jeans brand coming up soon, so stay tuned. Now, the thing is, what I really like is that this is not too flared, it's not too dramatic, but it's flared enough and it covers my shoe, which for you short girls is fantastic because it makes you look taller instantly. You can put a heel on underneath it. But the tricky thing is now you want to make sure that you can wear it with your various heels. So this is one of my most commonly worn pairs of shoes. You probably have seen them around quite a bit if you follow me. And it is generally the highest that I go. So I'm going to put these shoes on to demonstrate how you can fix the length. It is going to be different for different pairs of shoes. So if you wear very high and then very flat, I'm not quite sure how you handle that, because I think that these do require a little bit of a heel, but they can be a comfortable heel. You don't have to wear an uncomfortable heel. Okay, so when you're starting out, you want to look in the mirror and you want to see, well, how much is dragging? And you do not want it to drag, but you want it to be as long as possible. Now, you are going to need a few tools, okay? So it would be helpful if you have some pins. I'm a designer, so I have some pins. If you don't have pins, there is a way around it. So I'll show you the way around it. But what you want to do now is go and tuck this underneath. Now, if you don't have pins, ladies, then you can tuck outward, okay? Tucking outward will give you a very good indication as to how much you're going to need to shorten them by. So is it 1 inch, is it 2 inches? You know, we all have different heights. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to do under, because I always much prefer to do the pin route. I find just one pin makes a big difference and you can see what it's going to look like. Okay, so once you think you've kind of got it, then just pop that pin in there. Okay. Excuse me, I've been recovering from a cold. And then you can start to see, like, okay, is that long enough? Is it short enough? Do I need to lengthen it? Do I need to shorten it? You know, kind of gives you an indication. You are going to notice just now, I'll show you when I take off my jeans. I'm going to stop the camera and quickly change my pair of jeans. But you'll see that it will vary slightly. So this is just an indicator. All right, now it's time to cut them. All right, ladies, so you're going to need a few things to do your hem. So first of all, you need a good pair of fabric scissors. So don't try and use kitchen scissors. It's not going to work. They're going to be way too blunt. And then when you get your good pair of cutting scissors, make sure your kids don't cut paper with them. It's going to ruin them completely, so keep them in a separate drawer. And don't worry, I'm going to put a link in the description below of all these things on Amazon. They are very inexpensive, ladies, and really worthwhile because you're going to save yourself a fortune in having to go to the tailor and have your things cut shorter. So good pair of cutting shears. Then you're going to need some liquid stitch glue. This is fabulous. I'm very, very happy with this glue. I've used it multiple times and on a couple of different fabrications, and it works like a charm. A tape measure or a ruler. That's also fine. Whatever works for you. I've got a tape measure. I really like it. Obviously, pins would be helpful. Like I said in the beginning, you know, just earlier on, pins are always helpful. I find they're a great guide and it makes it much easier to do a really perfect hem. And then, you know, keep the piece, like when you cut off, I'm going to show you just now, keep some fabric over because you can test the glue and also just test your technique before you do them on your actual jeans. But first we're going to cut the hem, and I know this is the most nerve-wracking part. Even for me sometimes as a designer, it can be the most nerve-wracking part. Okay, so now I've already put my pin in here and you can see here that it's kind of, you know, not that accurate. Also, I've already done one leg, so I'm going to work on that. But I'm going to show you just as a guide of how to do this, ladies, because it's really, really easy. Okay, so I'm going to take you to the table here. And, all right, you can see here now, I have my pin in there. I'm going to put it right to where I feel like the hem needs to end, okay? And that's going to give me an indicator as to how much to cut off. Now, as you can see, this is going up the curve, so it looks like it's much bigger, and that's going down. So I always reckon it's a good idea to rather take off less than take off too much. And you can see for this one, if I use that as a guide, that's a great, I mean, I actually estimated perfectly. Although that's what I thought actually, so this is too long, really. This is going to be too long to compare to that one. So you want to also make sure that both legs are the same. You don't want, you know, unless one leg is shorter than the other. In some cases, that is the case for some people. Okay, so I've got a basic indicator. Now, I'm going to use this as my guide. So I'm going to take this pin out, but you will keep that pin where it's going to go. And then what I like to do is just as a, yes, Jazzy, just as a safety net, I always like to pin this secure because when you're cutting, it can move around and you don't want that. Now, I can see from my previous pair how much I cut off, all right, which is just under 2 inches. So I'm just going to measure it out. Ladies, I actually work in metric. Sorry, but you know, in South Africa we work in metric and I just can't get my head around this whole inch thing. And it's just under 2 inches. So mine is 5 centimeters. Even as a dress designer, I find metric so much easier. Okay, there's a skew pin. That's not really going to be a good indicator. Here we go. 5. Yes, Jazz. Jazzy always has to be involved in everything. Doesn't like to be left out of anything. Okay, so there we go. Right, now I've got my good indicators. Now I'm going to cut. And just be sure, ladies, and if you're not sure, rather take off less than more. Okay, and I'm just going to, I'm going to cut it. Voila. Okay. So, as I said, you can use this piece to try out the glue. I've already tried it out. I've already done it. And you can see here what the results, I mean, that is fantastic. I've done a double seam here. Another little thing that you can do if you don't want to double it over is get some of these zigzag scallop scissors. In fact, I thought that's actually quite a good idea because it prevents the fraying. But in this case, because I don't have those scissors, I'm actually going to do a double hem. So I'm now going to take my glue. And I have used this before, so no, Jazzy, you can't be involved in this one now, my boy. And I'm just going to literally, and you can be fairly generous, you know, with this. And also don't worry that if you get too much, you can always wipe it off, but because it's on the inside, right? So it's fine. And you're going to find that on the seams, you're going to need a little bit more. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to turn it over like that. And just press it down. You want to press quite firmly, and it is going to take a while to stick. So don't worry too much about that. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just, going with a little bit of a hem here. Now I'm going to do the next layer. And I suggest you do it twice because I think it gives it a much more secure hem. All right. Like so. Whoops. A longer, probably a kitchen table will work better for this, but you've got to find what works for you. Okay, so I've got the basic line now. Got the basic line here. And you can just really push. You can also, what will make it much easier is if you do the one hem and then the other. So you do, your first fold over and then you do your next one. That's going to make it much easier. I've done this quite quickly just for the sake of the video. And it feels like I'm making a bit of a mess here. And then I use the actual desktop to help me push that in there. There we go. And then you just leave that. Make sure to put the glue top back on so that it doesn't run your glue. And then you just leave that for a while. If you feel like it, you can just place something heavy on there just to flatten it. And you just leave it for a bit. I'd leave it for at least about 30 minutes because that way it's more secure and it's gonna hold. But as you can see, mine's not even that perfect, but it works and it looks amazing. And then this was the result, ladies. Look at how amazing that looks. Inside and out, you see? And if you need to, you want to go inside and just do those little gap things, you can absolutely do that again. And if you need to fully secure it again, you can put more glue. Easy as that. So let me know in the comments, ladies, did you find this helpful? Do you have any questions about this? Once again, I will put all these details in the description below so that you can get these things for yourself. I suggest you get them ahead of time before getting your perfect pair of jeans, especially if, like me, you're a short girl and chances are you're going to have to hem them. And then you've got everything ready for you. You can do it super quick and out you go in your favorite pair of jeans.